Hello and welcome back to the Opposites Abroad podcast, a podcast covering all things travel. Charlie Bosco here up in a lovely springy BC. TT joining us ever from Denver, and our second ever rock star on the podcast, Jake Sommers, joining from Nashville, Tennessee. Jake, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
And I like that you didn't flinch at being called a rock star. We kind of talked about this last week with our guest, where I said if I got paid to play shows, I would put rock star on my driving license everywhere I went. So kudos for not flinching. You just were like, yeah, that's me. I'm owning it.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't say rock star. I would say maybe more like, I don't even want to say country star. Just, but I'll take rock star. It's always fun.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot cooler job than either of us have. But you're the drummer for Luke Combs.
That's what I'm told. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, and for people who've been living under a rock for the last 10 years, you guys, Luke and you guys have become one of the biggest acts in the world. And obviously, we wanted to talk to you about travel. I'll try not to. We won't dive too much into music and things, much as I'm a big fan and been to 4 of your shows, but we got you on because we wanted to talk about travel and what it's like to be a musician, because I think a lot of people see travel and the glamour of life on the road, and I'm sure, as you will say, it's not always quite as glamorous as it seems, and it'd be really good to understand what it's like to really be on the road as a musician.
Oh, totally. And I could take you from like the beginning days to now too.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to know how you got into it, because one thing that comes across reading your website is you're a student of music, you studied your craft, but I love that you actually went and did it, because so many people say, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that, I wanted to be a drummer, and you kind of went and made it happen. So,
is it pretty rare for a musician that's professional to have, in a band that's as famous as yours, to have come from a college setting like you did, or do most come up in a different way?
I think it could be 50-50. I don't think you necessarily have to go to school for music to make it, per se. I think you could be talented. I don't think it hurts to go to school for music and really learn the intricacies of other genres, or, learn ear training and theory and all that stuff. Because if you don't learn that stuff, then you're just kind of self-taught, which is fine. But then, at least here in Nashville, or I think for any musician, knowing how to chart a song for a gig, if you don't know how to do that and you're just doing it by ear, that might hinder you in the long run.
Yeah, I remember that there's a story with Keith Moon where they were trying to get him to play a very simple song, the Who were, and he couldn't play it. He couldn't figure it out. He finally looked at him and he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm the greatest Keith Moon style drummer in the world. and I always remember that. I thought that was such a great story.
That's funny. Yeah, but I definitely think it's 50-50.
But you moved to Nashville to kind of pursue the dream. Why Nashville? I mean, I know it's the center of music, but it's kind of the center of one particular genre of music. What made you make that move?
So I'm originally from New York, and I grew up going on Broadway shows and musicals and all that stuff. And I actually checked out Austin, Texas before Nashville. Not I thought about it. I went there for a drum show my senior year of high school, and it was cool. But do you guys remember bands like Creed, Evanescence, Seether, Finger Eleven? My dad's good friend was the president and owner of their label, and he had signed Creed back in the day. And my dad asked in my senior year of college, Jake wants to pursue his career further in music and drumming. What should he do? And he said, go check out Nashville. I checked it out. I fell in love with it. And I moved here a couple months after I graduated, and that was it.
Do you never, I don't know about you, I get this where you think, oh my God, what if that hadn't happened? If you'd moved to Austin, it probably seems unlikely that you'd be playing stadium shows.
Oh, definitely. It's a different scene in a way. It's like they still have their version of Broadway here, which is their 6th Street. but I don't think it's anything like Nashville, where there's bars open from 10 a.m. to 2:33 in the morning, and there's I want to say sometimes four different bands playing in one bar at the same time. You can't get that anywhere.
And you, as soon as you got there, you sensed that energy and you thought that you'd found the right place.
Yeah, I mean, when I first came to visit and I saw the honky-tonk scene, I was, like, in love. And I was like, I need to be here. And I moved here. And then I started playing through networking and knowing an alumni here from my college. I started playing full-time downtown in the middle of my second week I did it for about 5 months. And then when I came to visit, not to jump the gun, but I met a guy who was working at this clothing store. We kept in contact. We got coffee after I moved here. And then he reached out to me saying, hey, I'm leaving this somewhat touring gig, nothing major. I think you'd be a good fit. I did the audition, got that gig. So I left the whole Broadway scene after 5 months and started getting my foot in the door touring.
And for people that aren't really aware of the difference, just for context, what's the difference between a studio drummer and a touring drummer? Because presumably with your background in education, you've got the chops to play in the studio, but it seems from the outside like they're two quite different roles.
Yeah, studio guys, that's all they do. You know, like they don't tour unless it's really worth their time. Usually they know the producers, and sometimes their family's already been in the scene, which helps them get into that scene. Or they did the touring thing, they just want to do the recording thing, which is amazing, and it's something I definitely want to do further on down the line. Like, I just had a recording session from my house today. But, you know, I think definitely everyone's dream is to hopefully play on big records as well.
Yeah, so, but what was it about the touring lifestyle that appealed to you? I mean, did you travel much before you started touring?
Yeah, I mean, I traveled with my family and stuff. Like, I've been to London, I went to Turkey, I've been to Israel, I went to Italy and Greece in high school. So I love traveling, and I knew, like, touring, hopefully you get to a certain point in your career where you can travel the world. Like, we were just doing stadiums in New Zealand and Australia in January through a bit of February. That was my second time in New Zealand and, like, my fourth or fifth time in Australia already, when most people don't even get to go once or only go once.
So that element of travel was a big draw.
Oh, definitely. I think also, like, you're going into it knowing, okay, you're going to have to travel for your job, and if you love doing what you do and you love traveling, you get to hopefully see the world.
And do you fly commercial, or do you guys have a jet, or how does that work?
We are not like Led Zeppelin. We fly commercial. Not this time around. In 2023, when we were there, they don't do buses in Australia, so we chartered a plane for like 40 of us from city to city, and that was awesome.
I bet.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And when you check into hotels, do you use pseudonyms and things, or you use your?
I mean, they have our real names.
Okay.
I mean, people don't know us. You know, we're just the band and crew. I mean, I'm not saying we're just the band and crew, but, like, you know, people aren't camping out, thankfully. You know, because they just don't do that stuff. Thankfully, you know, it's our names. It's not like people know, oh, they're flying in today, or, you know, this is where they're staying. That stuff is never disclosed.
What pseudonym would you use if you had to pick one?
Oh, I don't want to use my nickname because plenty of people probably know that. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Off the top of my head, that's a really good one.
That's a good thought. I mean, I feel like you guys, as the band, are developing a bit of a profile, though. So, you know, it might be relevant soon.
Yeah, let's see. If I had to have a pseudonym, and if you had to name it after your favorite beer, I'd say Guinness Be Had.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
I mean, but the way you're traveling now, I guess, wasn't how you travel when you started out. I mean,
no,
what's it like
not.
what's it like when you're up and coming? So what you started playing for Luke 10 years ago, something like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
It'll be 11 years in November.
wow. So what did those initial tours look like? Because you weren't selling out stadiums back then.
No, we were in a 15-passenger van, had all of our gear in the back with probably we each had a suitcase. There was plenty of times where I'd be like sleeping on the ground of the vehicle, or I'd be like tucked in one of the passengers in one of the bench seats as well. Did that for a bit, and then we had a Sprinter where we did the same type of deal. You know, there was a wall in the back which divided the passenger area and the gear area, which was nice, but same deal. Sometimes you sleep on the floor going from state to state. And obviously as he grew, the rides slowly grew into like one bus, a bus in a trailer, then two buses in a trailer, two buses, two trailers, two buses in a semi, three buses, and then I think a couple of years ago we had like, I don't want to get it wrong, oh gosh, I want to say we had like 3 or 4 buses out and a ton of semis. Last year, there were only 2 buses out and a bunch of semis, and this year we're pretty much flying everywhere. Just because we're in the States and we're just it's a super light year with festivals.
But I mean, you got to rest, right? You can't be off your game.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Is that just part of the deal though, that you just kind of get exhausted by the tour and you just have to find a way of doing it every night?
Yeah, you know, the beauty of the country genre, even when you're doing 150 shows for the year, for the most part, it's weekend. So you'll leave on like a Wednesday, play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, home Sunday, and then you're back at it again. So it's not like a pop or a rock tour where you're gone for 3-4 months at a time.
No. Okay. See, and that it seems like you've always had, relative to some bands, a relatively light touring schedule. How's that been for you? Would you like to be playing more? I mean, it must keep your enthusiasm going a little better, not having to be missing sleep for 40 weeks a year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get the year wrong. I want to say it was 2019. We were out for like 40 days straight. And some guys, there was a small break and some guys went home, but I opted to stay out. And it was fine. You know, we had hotel rooms and I slept and, you know, nothing crazy. I was fine. Towards the end, it was like, okay, I'm ready to go home, but you love it. And this is our lightest year to date. You know, we only have 9 more festivals starting this weekend till second weekend of October. So it's super spread out. Like we have 1 festival in June. It's Bonnaroo. So we've got plenty of time off, you know, and then we have off pretty much all of August, off all of September, 3 festivals in October, and then we're doing his bonfire again the weekend before Halloween weekend, and then other than that, that's it.
So when you're on the road, do you actually get to see the places you go?
Like when we're overseas or for these festivals, no, not really. It's hard to like leave or they're like in the middle, not near a city. The most recent one we do is Jazz Fest. And a couple of my companies were doing backline for the festival. And I met up with them for dinner in the French Quarter after, which was a lot of fun. So I walked around Bourbon Street and all that. So that was fun. Also, it's New Orleans. But for the most part this year, at least with festivals, you don't really get to venture around the city just because they're not really in the city.
Yeah. I mean, what about when you're in Europe and stuff, and Australia and New Zealand? You actually get to see places.
Yeah. Like this time around, New Zealand and Australia, how we did it was we'd fly in. So we flew into Auckland. We'd have sound check on a Thursday night, show Friday, Saturday. And instead of us flying to, say, after Auckland was Brisbane, instead of us flying on a Sunday, we'd fly on a Monday. So we'd have the entire week to check out the city in each city. Even like on show days, we wouldn't have to get there we wouldn't take a runner till like 5 o'clock. So we'd have all day to walk around or do whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I got to go to Hobbiton when I was in New Zealand, which was a lot of fun.
I just did that a couple months ago.
Wasn't it cool?
Oh, it's so cool. It's so much better than I expected.
Right? I was like, oh, this is awesome. Had some of the beer that they had, and then we did the game where they run around the thing with the, I don't even know what it's called, but it was a good time. And the fact that you could live in them is pretty sweet. I wouldn't personally, but it was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
But got to go to some beaches this time in Australia. It was a lot of fun. So this time around, we had plenty of time to see each city. But yeah, hopefully, whenever we do go back overseas, we have more time in each city.
Yeah, it's...
Wait, so Charlie,
yeah,
you're in Canada?
Yeah, I'm in the Okanagan Valley, which is 4 hours inland from Vancouver.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been up here. It's like, people call it the California of Canada. It's like by far the hottest place in Canada, which is like being the world's tallest dwarf. It's like, it's still pretty cold. It's still pretty cold in winter.
So you didn't want to move to the United States?
We lived in mainland Europe for 15 years and always wanted to live in North America. And we didn't really know north or south of the border. And the political changes that took place in 2016 just kind of slightly put me off.
And you looked at Boulder in Colorado, though, at one point.
Yeah, I looked at them and I'm going down. We're going skiing in the Cascades at the weekend, and I love the States. And we've got a couple of weeks on vacation in summer. I really love the States, but I just there's a few things that would make me a little bit. I'm self-employed, so healthcare would be an issue, and yeah, I just kind of felt like Canada to me is much more European than for an outsider, for an immigrant. I feel like it's a little easier to fit into. But yeah, I love the States, but elements of it, scare me a little bit.
Understandable.
But yeah, you know what? In the Okanagan here, we get some shows. It's surprising which bands come here. We're starting to get more and more half-decent bands coming through. Kelowna's the town I live in. And yeah, we get some good stuff. We don't get the A-list. Honestly, you guys aren't going to be playing Kelowna, but we get that kind of next tier down.
They may be the A-list at one point. There's a country venue in Denver called the Grizzly Rose.
Yeah, we played there a bunch.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, the joke is every band starts and ends at the Grizzly Rose.
Oh, dude, yeah.
They go on their way up, and then they go on their way down.
Yeah, we opened up in 2016 for a guy named Corey Smith, and I think then we headlined it in 2017. And one of the times we were there, they were like, oh, you should have Rockefeller oysters. And I didn't know what they were.
Rocky Mountain oysters.
Rocky Mountain oysters. I know I said Rockefeller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had them, and then they told me, and I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, that's exactly what TT did to me when I was visiting Denver. He was like, let's go out for Rocky Mountain oysters. I had exactly the same thing, got sandbagged.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was good times. Do you want to say what they are for people that don't know, or do you just want to? Are people going to Google it?
Oh, I think people should Google it. I really don't want to say that I've eaten bull testicles.
And we also, when I was visiting TT, we also went to Red Rocks as well. Presumably you've played there.
Yeah, we got to play there on Mother's Day in 2019, and my parents came out, and my cousin lives in Denver, and my best friend, she's like my sister, her sister lives there, and they both came to the show as well. So it was a good time.
Is Red Rocks really like the greatest venue in the world, like a lot of people say it is, to play at?
It's definitely an experience. It's on my top 5 for bucket list, but I'm from New York, and we've gotten to do Madison Square Garden. We did 2 nights, 360 in the round there, sold out.
Yeah.
And that was, that's always going to be my first and foremost. But then it's hard when people say, oh, what's your favorite venue? Because it's like, we've done the O2 in London a couple times. Obviously now playing all these football stadiums. Like, I'm a New York Giants fan. We played MetLife 2 nights last year, which is a lot of fun. Playing here in Nashville or playing SoFi Stadium, doing 2 nights there is a trip. there's a venue called the Gorge, which is a beautiful backdrop as well for the fans. But yeah, Red Rocks is beautiful. It's definitely one of my, I guess you can call it an amphitheater or outdoor venue. Definitely top 5 outdoor venues.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came to the show at the Gorge. I surprised my wife. I didn't tell her where we were going. We just set off driving. We went for lunch in Lake Chelan, just a couple of hours to the north. And I'd found on Google Maps, I saw the park. The parking was like $120 US or something to park, and I thought, right, there's no way I'm parking that. Like we're pretty fit. We can just hike in. So we drive. I found this spot on Google Earth that I thought we could park, that was walking distance but free. So we're driving, and by now it's dark, and we parked. And my wife was like, so to summarize, for our anniversary, we're in a cornfield in eastern Washington, and it's 8:00 at night and pitch black. I was like, honestly, it's really good. Like, the surprise is good. Just stick with me. And then when we walked towards the venue, obviously, like, she kind of realized what we're doing. But yeah, it was a fun night, because I think you got stormed off the first night, didn't you?
They were both windy. That's all I have to say. They were both windy.
I've always heard that the best concerts bands play are the ones that kind of go the worst. Like, they're not advertised, nobody shows up, like the rain's or the weather's horrible. Is that true?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, they're fun. It definitely is a bummer when there is a delay with weather, because you have to get off stage, and thankfully we never had to cancel the rest of the show. We just had to wait, sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, and that's out of our control. But we obviously go back on and kick back into it, and everybody loves it. No one leaves that I'm aware of. And I think people have to understand that that's just sometimes part of where we're playing, or anyone playing. That it's just part of the show sometimes, and it's out of the artists and everyone working's control.
Do you get stage fright? I just heard you talking about when you were walking around Auckland. Are you not walking around the city thinking, oh my God, I've got to be on it tonight, 40,000 people? Do you get stage fright?
No. The only time I've been nervous, so we play to a click, and years ago the sound was drastically different. Our click now is just a shaker sound, so it's sh, 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 sh. But years ago, so our first TV spot ever was the Today Show. And me being from New York, I was like, this is incredible. I got my folks into the show. They were watching, sitting on the white couch behind the cameras watching live. And they're like, okay, like, who counts the songs in? And it's the drummer, because we don't use tracks. We never have. And I'm watching the stage manager, and he's going 5, 4, and then, like, you can't see my fingers, but 3. And all I'm thinking is, okay, if their one doesn't line up with my one, is it okay if I wait for like a split second for it to come around? And they're like, yeah, it's totally cool because it's live. So that was probably that, and the first time we did Kimmel were the two most, I wouldn't say stage fright, but just nerves. And then, yeah, I'd probably say those two things. The Grammys was a touch nervous when we did it a few years ago, but that one, you're in front of peers that you would never think to be in front of, right? Like Taylor Swift, Dave Grohl, Jay-Z, Beyonce, the list goes on and on. But those three things, when you do a show, it's like you obviously have rehearsals, you have production rehearsals, and you practice it at home. And the more you practice it, and, a lot of these songs we obviously played for a while, but it's more of practicing the transitions and, if we do a medley, which we do each year, practicing that till you have it beaten into your head. It's like once you hit that first note, it's go time. There's no stage fright. You kind of get amped up. You definitely get amped up by the crowd, especially when the lights go dark, and it's a lot of fun. So I think you have to, if you do have stage fright, find a way to mitigate that, but also still have a great show.
Yeah, and for the unaccustomed, a click is basically you can hear a click in your ear that is going to keep you in time. You've still got to play the drums live, but the click is keeping you in time with the song. Because I noticed when we've seen you live, there's often a video playing, so you've got to be absolutely on the money to be on time with the video. Hey.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in the band has the click. All the techs have the click. I'm sure it's being fed through our front of house guy and our lighting guy. You know, like we don't use, we just use Ableton for our click. So we don't use time code. We don't use anything for the lights. Like we have a dedicated light guy who programs the show, which is amazing. And he's incredible. Everybody in our camp is amazing. It's just a great big family.
Yeah, what's that been like, that family growing? Because I guess originally it was nothing like as big as it is now. How many people are you taking on the road with you now?
I think there's 40 of us now. And obviously there, you know, from the beginning there was only 5 of us, and then a couple iterations have kind of gone through as time's gone on. But yeah, there's 40 of us now. That's
a really big crew. I've heard you say in previous interviews that kind of your skills as a drummer are 50% of it, and actually being a good person's the other 50% of succeeding on the road.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I would say it's even now like 60% hang, 40% playing. Because, you know, you got to be able to, like, you know, take jokes, give jokes, and just have fun. You know, it's like no drama. Don't be a bad egg. Be under the radar. You know, don't have anyone need to think, oh, where are they? Are they going to be late for sound check? Or, you know, what's taking them so, you know, don't be late to bus call, or even if you're in a van, you know, be early to the airport. You know, don't cut it too close, because then you're like, oh, shit, did they make it through TSA? But, you know, one of the really good things I learned in college was 30 minutes is on time and being on time is late. So I try to stick to between getting there 30 minutes, not an airport, but like getting to like a bus call, like 30 minutes to like 20, 30 minutes early.
Yeah, that's a good philosophy for life in general that not many people do, I feel like.
So when I know we're talking about travel, but like to just touch on this a little bit, after I met Luke back in 2014 and we were chatting, and he, you know, before my first gig with him, we did a rehearsal, I would say, / my audition. And I was the first one there 30 minutes early with all my gear set up, had a, you know, music stand for my charts, even though I had everything memorized, just to have it there for backup. And I think it showed that, like, hey, this guy's here with all his stuff ready to go. No one has to wait on the drummer, because those are the jokes of, we always have to wait on the drummer. He's got the most stuff, or he'll be late, yada, yada. And I think that shows a lot. It's like, hey, I came here to do the thing. You know, I'm serious about it, and that goes a long way.
I think so. I mean, I've kind of realized in the working world that if you show up on time and you do what you say you're going to do, you're already quite an elite person in today's world.
Oh, definitely.
But also, I remember there was a rugby player called Paul O'Connell, an Irish guy, and he said he was the best at everything that required no talent.
That's funny.
And it sounds like that's been your approach. You know, you it seems like you guys as the Luke's band haven't had a lot of turnover, and that seems quite rare. Is that because you guys all subscribe to that theory of turn up early, be organized?
Obviously, there's certain reasons why some guys have left, which I don't need to get into. But, you know, I think for everyone that's there now, you know, we all love each other, and it's just like everyone knows the drill. It's like, hey, get there early, or, you know, we have sound check. We all kind of mosey in like 5, sometimes 10 minutes on stage, whatever. But everyone's always there on time, and yeah, I mean, for the show, like, we always hang. We do like a 30-minute, 45-minute hang before the show, so we're all in the same room and kind of get everyone going, make sure everyone's good to go. So, yeah. But, yeah, everyone just is a good hang, you know. And it's just a solid group of guys all around, and girls, so.
I wanted to ask you about that, actually. How do you maintain your energy? Because I know when I've been on the road, I've done live broadcasting, TV work, sports commentary, and there are days when man, there are days at home where you get out of bed the wrong side, but there are other days when I just can't kind of get in the mind frame. What are your tips for being on the road but maintaining that energy and maintaining the enthusiasm?
Yeah. Usually, let's see. If I can hit a gym, I love to work out, so I'll do that. Really helps with the mind and the body. I really don't drink a lot, even on the road. Like, I'm sure, I don't know, there's been countless videos of me chugging a beer, but it's always after a show. But I take care of myself, and I try to really watch what I eat. I do have a sweet tooth, but I've been really trying to rein that in. But yeah, I think also sleep. You know, get a solid 8 hours if you can, and you know, wake up and you know, try to have a cup of coffee and you know, usually get my day going and just kind of unwind. Oh, let's see, like a night before a show, after sound check, we hang, whatever, just take it easy. And then even like after the show, the next night, if we have another show the day after, I'm not going to go, you know, drink my face off because you have to work the next day. I might have like a drink or two to unwind and just nurse them, but that's about it. I'm not going to get hammered knowing I have to get up the next day and work again.
But can you sleep after a show? Because I always struggled to sleep after just doing TV. I could never turn off. Can you switch off and get to sleep after you've played a big show?
It definitely takes a couple hours to unwind. So usually our shows get done around 10:45. I sometimes don't go to bed till like 1:32 in the morning. And I always have to, I don't know when it happened, but like I can't just fall asleep. Like I have to watch something on TV to fall asleep, whether it be like if we're in a hotel, like ESPN, catching up on sports, or like if I'm home watching Netflix or Apple TV, you know, whatever I'm watching, just kind of like watch an episode and slowly kind of doze off.
This is kind of a fanboy question as a drummer.
Yeah, of course.
But what is it like playing a stadium, right? Because I've been in the stadium watching you. The thought of going up there and like kicking the kick drum once and hearing it echo around Lumen Field is insane to me. Just the thought of playing a bar and hearing it around the stadium is insane. Like, what is the experience like? Because obviously there are lots of musicians out there, but very few people ever get to the stage where they're playing the headline show in venues that big. Can you explain? This is unrelated to travel.
Yeah,
in
it's
this
okay.
Podcast, but while I've got you on, I've got to ask. TT's laughing at me. I don't even care.
Yeah, I could try to. I've been asked this question obviously a couple other times before, but it's hard to explain that feeling because unless you're there doing it, it's like it's better than a roller coaster. Like you get that same, I want to say, when you're on the peak of the roller coaster going down, that's how it feels, like the adrenaline, but I would say double or triple that energy. You know, it really is an out-of-body experience to play for 50, 60, 75 plus thousand people. You know, we did Stagecoach. I don't know how many people were there. We closed out, you know, the last night of that festival, and I can't tell you how many people were there. It was just a sea of people, and it's wild. And they're all there to see, obviously, the artists, and you're there to, you know, give it your all every night, every time you play a show. And I think that's the cool thing and the beauty of it is, like, you get to live out your dream, and it's a rush that you could only feel when you're up there. So I guess you have to do it to really understand it. You know, I guess even if you stood on stage without playing a show, right, and you look out and you could just imagine, like, playing the show, right, I think that could kind of equate similarly because you're up there and you're looking out and you could imagine thousands of people watching you from the opposite end. And you're like, okay, this is it gets your heart pumping.
Yeah, I get that. And I guess I've worked in live TV, and I haven't. We don't have a physical audience, but yeah, I guess that feeling of like living by the seat of your pants in real time, and the director talk in your ear is probably the closest I've ever got, and I've never really found anything else like that. There are other exciting. You can go and jump out of a plane and get excitement, but there's nothing. Certainly for me, yours would be next level, but there's nothing that's quite like being live. But yeah, I don't have 75,000 people, but you know what's weird about it is that I did a job once, and we were broadcasting live, and then I had to go down on stage and interview someone on stage, but my mic went out into the arena.
Oh no!
And when we were commentating in the booth, we had 500,000 viewers, and I was like, zen. You just sitting there with your friend, you got your headset on, you're just talking, you're good. You go down and talk in front of like 5,000 people, so 1% of it. But if they're actually sitting in front of you, it felt like I was going to vomit. So there's something totally different about it. A live audience.
I think you get used to it, though.
I mean, but are you getting used to it? You must kind of pinch yourself that because the rise in Luke's career, and with it your career, has been surely one of the fastest certainly in country music history.
Oh, I would say so. I mean, I'm definitely used to it, going on stage and playing in front of thousands of people. It's fun. It's like when you love what you get to do for a living, it's fun. And you don't really think of it as work per se, even though it is. And I think it's like practicing throwing a baseball or a football, right? The more you do it, the better you get. Like if I was a pitcher in the MLB or a quarterback in the NFL, think about it. You still have thousands of people, actually even more than a concert. You have thousands of people at the stadium, but then millions of people watching on TV. So I can't imagine that nervousness and that rush.
Yeah, but the live audience is what gives you the nerves, in my experience. When you're looking at a camera, you kind of forget there's anyone at the other end of it. So it's the live audience that kills you for the nerves. So the fact you don't get nervous, I think you should go into TV. You'd be, if all you had was a camera pointing at you, you'd be fine. Hey, I know you've got to get out to for some nightlife in Nashville. Just a couple of quick fire travel questions. Places you've enjoyed most? Maybe top 3?
I love Australia. I really hope if we ever go back to Paris, I get some more time there. I did enjoy the day. Amsterdam was cool. I enjoyed Amsterdam. It's hard to have like a top. I mean, Australia is definitely my top. Like, I would, if it was anywhere doable to live there and do my job. I know it's a super far flight, but I just think it's cool there. I really enjoy it. The people are really, not saying people here aren't nice, but like the food there is so good. The coffee there is great. Everything's clean.
I mean, you could go down there and do your winters down there.
That's too far. My parents would hate me. I just go down further south in the States to do my winters.
I get that.
You're not gonna ask where the worst places are?
Well, as someone that grew up near Manchester, I'm kind of nervous that's going to be on the list. I'm going to be honest.
I enjoy Manchester.
I'm only kidding. You don't have to say.
No, but we were only. It's hard to. There's not really any place that I didn't like because you get to see different parts of either the country or the world and experience to some degree. I mean, if you're there for like a day, there's nothing you can really dislike because if you're there for a day, you don't get to see really any of it, right? Like we were in. Oh, I did love. We were in. We spent some time in the Nordic countries. Like we were in Denmark, and we were in Copenhagen, and had some time there. And I thought that place was awesome. It was super cool.
Yeah, underrated city for sure.
Like we were in Sweden, right? The arena wasn't near the city, so I didn't get to see the city of Sweden, but I still had a good time.
Yeah. Hey, I want to let you get out for dinner, but I got one more before we go. I'm just looking. The NFL schedule got released.
You could ask a couple more. It's all good.
No, it's all right. It's fine. The NFL schedule got released like 53 minutes ago. your Giants, Jackson Dart, good year, bad year?
Oh, well, I would say good, but Russell Wilson's QB1. Jackson Dart will be QB3.
Oh no.
And
No.
well, but it's not a bad thing. He's a rookie, you know. So like, funny enough, when we were on this podcast, my buddy.
No, I'm talking about Russell Wilson.
Well, I mean, I know he was on Denver. Now he's on the Giants, or he was on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Prior, and he was on Denver before that.
Denver, and then yeah.
But
yeah.
I know Russell will be QB1.
Yeah, he wasn't great for us.
No, and you know, hopefully he's good for the Giants. I have hopefully high hopes. And while we're doing this, I glanced at my phone, and my buddy's a special teams coach, and I wonder if he texted me the schedule. But yeah, I think they'll be good.
Yeah, I've got it. I've been looking at it too. There's Broncos schedule.
Yeah, we played Mile High the same year we did Lumen, which was super cool.
Oh, that is awesome. Yes, Charlie knows
Yeah.
I was just booked my flight to London to go see the Broncos play, and because they're playing an international game this year, so I'm super stoked for that.
That'll be fun. Wait, who's QB? Who's QB for Broncos?
Bo Nix.
Oh, now you're gonna put me on the spot.
Did you say go Knicks? Hell yeah, let's go. We jumped in the basket. Oh, sorry, you said
Bo
Nix.
Nix, yeah.
You said Bo Nix. I thought you said go Knicks,
Nix.
and I'm from New
Yes.
York, so I'm thrilled with how they're playing against the Celtics.
Yeah, I'm holding out hope for the Nuggets, so we'll see.
Oh, come on, they won already. Give New York a chance. They haven't won since like before I was probably even born.
Well, yeah, TT really screwed me on the FL front because I was just getting into it about 10 years ago, and I didn't really have a team. And he was like, "Well, you should come with the Broncos. We just won a Super Bowl. We're awesome." I've somehow stuck with him. I kind of half adopted the Seahawks as well, just for proximity's sake. But yeah, he kind of screwed me on that one because I'm stuck with the Broncos now.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. You live in Canada. You don't even have football. I mean, real football.
Whoa. The BC Lions, but they only play 3 downs, so it's kind of a slightly different type of football. But we're going to be the 51st state, kind of pretty imminently, I think. So once that happens, we're going to have the Canadian. I know we have to name the Canadian Trumps or something. When that happens, we'll be allowed into the NFL. But hey, I think London will get an NFL team before a Canadian city gets one. But you never know.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Didn't they have the
Maybe
London
not.
Monarchs or something at one point?
I think there is something. So the town I used to live in Austria has got the best American football team in Europe, which is super random. So we used to actually watch a pretty decent standard. They had some affiliation with the Raiders, so they used to get all the cast-offs. And obviously they're playing against like part-time 24-year-old Germans, so it was always like a rout every week. But yeah, we used to, ironically, living in Austria, I used to go to quite a lot of games, and now we don't go to many at all, but hey-ho. But hey, Jake, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, you guys got any more? I could probably do like 2 more questions if you want.
Yeah, go for it. That'd be great.
In a appropriate question, since I'm sure you get asked all kinds of crazy questions about being on the road. But what's it like eating on the road? I guess, do you get to try local food at all? Like, do they bring things in from that area, or how does that work?
So when we're on tour, whether it's in the States or overseas, when it's a show day, we have catering. So like we have a catering company in the States that goes with us when we're on an actual tour everywhere. When it's festivals, it's their catering. And then when we're overseas, obviously there's a catering company that's provided. For example, like when we're in New Zealand, Australia, when we're not doing a show, we fend for ourselves with food. So yeah, you get to try all the local stuff and all types of different food, and which is always a blast. And usually after every show, it's called post-show food. So sometimes they'll bring in a food truck, or they'll bring in something that's like maybe the city's known for, stuff like that.
That's cool. Do you say like, I want a bowl of only green M&Ms and just crazy stuff?
No, we're not. We're not as crazy as Van Halen. But this, at the end of each year, our band leader typically says, "Hey guys, is there anything you want on the rider for the band?" And I usually don't put anything because I'm like, the odds of me eating this stuff are probably very slim. But one of our guys asked for Guinness, and he knows it's my favorite beer. So now we have Guinness on our rider, and it's usually a 6-pack.
That's awesome.
For us to have. Yeah, which is neat. Then like, maybe like health bars or whatever.
All right. What are your bucket list places to travel and or play?
Ooh, well, I really want to play Japan. I really want to go to Japan. I think playing South Africa would be really cool. I've always wanted to go to Spain, so I think playing there would be really neat. Also trying all the, food, going back to the food from each of those places. But, bucket lists, at least for overseas, is Wembley. I think that'd be really neat. It's like you check off the O2, what's next? Wembley, right? So Wembley would be amazing. And then in the States, playing Allegiant Stadium in Vegas would be really cool, or doing the Sphere. That would be really neat. And being from New York, a place I've always wanted to play, which we skipped, was Radio City Music Hall.
Yeah, okay, because I guess you guys have kind of outgrown that now. You just...
Oh, yeah.
Just bad timing that you never kind of lined up when it was the right size.
It's all good. To be able to play the Garden, doing 2 nights, as a headliner, 360 in the round, and then also, before that, opening for Jason Aldean on his tour was really cool.
You could always play on the roof like the Beatles and surprise everybody walking by.
That would be freaking epic. I would love that. I'm a huge Beatles fan. So that would be cool. And then have the cops called on you for being too loud.
Yeah, what about the Cavern Club in Liverpool? That still exists.
I think it was senior year in college, whatever the high school Paul McCartney went to is now a college. And my college and that college were like sister schools. So I got to do 14 days over in Liverpool. I got to go to the Cavern Club and all that stuff, and went to a bunch of museums where Beatles memorabilia was, and I had an amazing time.
As you know what, that's an amazing city. So all my dad's family are all Liverpool, and we grew up just outside Liverpool. And
okay.
A lot of the towns in the UK are pretty forgettable, but I feel like Liverpool's got an attitude and something about it which it makes it a really special city.
Yeah, because it's known for the Beatles. Same with obviously Berlin, Germany isn't where they're also attributed to, but like Hamburg is another spot where everyone recognizes the Beatles at.
Did you go to where we would call it football, the soccer? Because Liverpool is insane for the soccer.
I didn't, but not this time around. It's not in Liverpool, but in 23, our stage manager and I, when we were in Australia, we went to an AFL game. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't understand it. It's just...
Me either, but I was like, this is cool. We didn't even drink. We just went after sound check. He and I watched the second half of the game and then went back to the arena, which was next door.
We only had one question, but Charlie asked 5 questions. So, is Ringo an underrated drummer?
I think so. I think the way he plays is, he has his own style and approach, and I think he is just as big a part of the Beatles as John, Paul, and George. And I think, everyone says, oh, he didn't play on a lot of the stuff, but he was part of their live sound, and I think he did play on a lot of the records, even if it's not said to be true. But I think he's got a unique way of playing the hi-hat, and you watch that concert from Shea Stadium, back in the day. They couldn't hear themselves, but they sounded great. Or one of the first things my dad showed me was the Beatles on Ed Sullivan Show, and I was hooked. I was probably 5 or 6 years old. But yeah, he's got a natural playing style. Charlie Watts.
Yeah. He's something to aspire to. He's the richest drummer of all time.
Yeah, damn right.
So if you're looking for next goals to tick off, you got to catch Ringo. He's on 500 mil or something. So.
Oh, probably.
He's done okay. I mean, did you hear the famous, maybe slightly harsh Paul McCartney quote that someone said, is Ringo Starr the best drummer in the world? And he said he's not even the best drummer in the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like an Oasis quote almost.
I don't know if that's true, but I think it's a good line. But I enjoyed your bucket list. Sorry, just going back slightly. I enjoyed your bucket list answers. And as you'll know, because I know you're an avid listener to this podcast, we did a Tokyo episode not so long ago. So no doubt it was listening to that inspired you to mention it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I'd say it's one of the best places I've ever been in my life. I used to work there for a week a year, and it was, I loved it. But one time I went for 2 weeks, and that was a bit too long. So a week is just that perfect sweet spot. Well, I mean, do you guys have any idea? Just quick. Sorry, now we are keeping you, but do you have any idea what shows are coming down the pipeline? If you played Tokyo, would people go and watch Luke Combs, or is that an area of the world that just has not yet been reached by country music?
I don't know. That's something I can't really comment on because I'm not sure. I think it'd be super cool to see what it's like.
Because there must be someone out there who kind of figures out where you guys should play.
Oh, totally. But, I don't know what that's like, or if that's happening.
That'd be awesome.
It would be super cool to go and play some kind of little backstreet club in Tokyo, though. It would be better than playing the big Tokyo Dome or something. It'd be super, because the best thing about Tokyo is getting lost. You just wander around and you find some restaurant you could never find again and go and eat there. So I think it'd be super cool to play some random little club that you couldn't find again if you were paid.
That'd be neat.
Have a word with the management.
I let them do. I'm just told where to go. I cross my fingers if that's on. Maybe one day that'll be down the pipeline for us. I think that'd be super cool, but we'll see as time goes on.
Yeah, well, it's been a pretty amazing journey so far, and
it's been incredible.
Yeah, really,
incredible.
Honestly, having you, it's been great attending those shows and watching you play, and it's been great having you on. And we really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you guys for having me on. I'd definitely love to have you guys out at a show for sure.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Well, next time you guys are playing Washington or Vancouver, or you never know, you might play Kelowna one day when if the next 10 years don't go so well, then you might end up in the We Play Kelowna bracket, which would put you,
I guess
that
we'll
puts
see.
you with like Evanescence. That's like the Evanescence, Bryan Adams, We Were Big 20 years ago. So,
oh goodness. I guess we'll find out. I hope not, but
you can fly to Denver, Charlie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah,
I feel
that's
like
easier.
Denver's always going to be on the list.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anyway, be great to come to another show when you guys are doing a bit more of an extensive touring schedule. And by the way, my wife's always telling the kids, right, your first show is going to be Luke Combs one day. So maybe it'll be their first concert. You never know.
Well, now they have to hold out.
Yeah, no pressure, but I'm kind of waiting for you guys to come back so my kids can go to their first show. So there's 2 little girls crying themselves to sleep every night that you guys won't come and play for them. So if you could just have a word with management.
It's not on me, I'll say that.
Well, whenever it is, I'm looking forward to it, and I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a lot of fun and super interesting, and yeah, thanks for 4 really good shows down the years. Looking forward to the 5th.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and can't wait to hopefully, get you guys to a show sooner than later.